nothing. She finally sent him a text, and he got back to her. And then
Sean and I right off the bat here with this woman who you lined up, which was awesome. You had gotten a recommendation from your uncle maybe for like a taxi type service up in the White Mountains, which is not super easy to find in terms of like a city.
She loved picking up random people and talking to them. Didn't matter what the topic was that you were talking about, she was going to bring it right back to what topic she wanted. That worked out fantastic, dropping the cars and then essentially creating the no-fall zone. We have 50 miles to get there, 45 miles to get back to our car.
And I'm going by GPS because I'm like, I can't find the...
It's like deja vu, man. The stakes felt higher, to your point, because it was like, we're going to make it back to our cars on foot, or else we're like calling our wives that are like 3 hours away for a ride. I was laughing about that. You'll see a little preview window of the first Hut Traverse video, which we tried in June of 2021. Our larger group of buddies. Definitely watch that video before this one.
Roll the black screen.
Sean, you brought up a Hut Traverse as a potential challenge, like the night following the Pemi Loop. Where did you hear about it in terms of the whole like 24-hour thing?
I'm pretty sure I heard about it in one of the huts spending a night one time. Like the hut crew, this is like a thing, like a rite of passage that at the end of the season, they go and like some number of the crew members will go do the Hut Traverse, which is touch all of the huts within a 24-hour period. And so the thought was, I don't know what the next step is after Presidential Traverse or after Pemi Loop and the Hut Traverse, which is 50-ish miles. So you're doubling up the distance. It seemed like a natural jump for the group that we hike with and run with because, I mean,
Because we're some crazy.
yeah, exactly. Like this is if we're gonna go for something, I mean, like we'll go for something big. Getting to the first hut, that is a full day hike for some people. And this is like we haven't even started our watches at this point. We're filling up water. We're gonna get some snacks. We're gonna sign the guest book.
Where are you heading today?
Hopefully the Lonesome Lake.
Oh, nice. That's nice.
Yeah, we'll see. This is attempt 2 this summer.
Yeah, good luck.
No one from the crew had done it, and I asked, "Are you gonna do it?" And she said,
No, I prefer not to suffer that much.
and then you're like, "Well, maybe we're making an awful decision right now."
Yep, fair point.
If you haven't been to the hut before, I mean, the awesome piece of this is they've got the plenty of prepared food from either the night before or they're making new stuff for you. So like, I mean, you can see us there filling up with waters. You can get tea, coffee, lemonade, baked goods.
Nick and I touched on this a lot in the first Hut Traverse video, but without a doubt, the huts are aid stations in like an ultra, essentially, and they are an amazing sense of comfort of knowing if something did go wrong, if you really hurt yourself. You just know there's going to be people, there's going to be experienced staff there, food, water, shelter, all those things, right? So it's kind of one of the things that the genius of the Hut Traverse, as hard as it is to do it in 24 hours, it's like you have those little beacons that are evenly spaced out.
It's official.
Yep.
I'd be curious to hear if other people have done this in Sub 24 and they have strong feelings about different departure times.
See you at the lake.
Both days, like I thought that we made the right call leaving Carter sometime around lunchtime because you are off the north side of the Prezzies before it's dark.
You and I both read, I haven't finished it yet, but the Michael Easter book, The Comfort Crisis.
Comfort Crisis, yep.
It really got at the heart of like, get outside your comfort zone, all the amazing benefits of challenging yourself in a really hard way. And the Hut Traverse as a sub 24-hour effort, it's kind of this, maybe for our age and experience level, it's like an incredibly tantalizing challenge because it sort of feels doable, but you also know setting out your chances of success. Like in the book, they talk about this like misogi is the name of these like Japanese challenges that are just hard enough that you kind of should almost have like a 50-50 chance of succeeding with it. And I feel like the Hut Traverse is so interesting because it's really, really, really hard, but you could do it, maybe not, depending on the given day. Next stop, Lonesome Lake.
4 hours.
For sure. And I mean, I think we talk about it somewhere coming down this path is like that for, like you said, for our age, fitness level, this is on the outer edge of the plate. This is doable, but not on any given day. With the Misogi thing is super cool is like, it's equally as impressive that somebody else finishes a 5K or finishes a mile, or it's just, this is for you. This is a huge leap in terms of being able to conquer it. And that kind of makes it really cool and appealing to me is like where are your boundaries and how do you get out on that periphery of where they might lay.
I'm definitely a believer. Yes. I'm going to use them a ton. I just, having had just been there 3 months earlier, right? In June, and we're doing this in late August. Like the first half, it was so clear in my mind what we had ahead of us. Yep. Go, we're in like our backyard or something. It was all so fresh in our mind. Chat or something. It definitely changed the feeling from the first one.
I would totally agree with that. I mean, I felt like I knew what to expect the first time around, especially on the front half. And it kind of solidified this is what it will take to get across that.
What an amazing day we got. I mean, oh my God, just like once again, another one of these videos that I posted where we've, you know how hard it is? Like how many times did we look at the calendar and talk about weekends and this, that, or the other thing? It is so hard with kids and family to find the day. And the fact that the one in June we did and this one again, it's just unbelievable. We almost went in July.
Yes. Right? Yeah, we bailed out at the last minute or pretty close to the last minute. And it was like, 50-50, 50-50 rain, 50-50 thunderstorms. And then it was going to be like 35 on the summits and
with
rainy.
Water.
Yeah.
And that was the clincher. I think we could have done cold. We could have done rain if it was warm, but you couldn't do both cold and wet.
It also tells you a lot about the whites, right? Like middle of July, 30-something degrees.
Yeah, really? I know.
That's, I mean,
on the edge of hypothermia.
Yeah.
Right? Like, July. Yeah.
I don't know that she does anymore either.
So here we are on the road, not running, as you'd see in the first Hut Traverse video. We jogged this a little bit, and I think we're done. What would you say our overall plan was going in? Because it seemed to me like
those sandwiches bouncing around my back.
Yeah, that's right. You don't need to run. You just need to have a steady all-day hiking pace. Yeah, still smiles right now.
Uphills is where the make or break was coming up to get to Madison Hut, and it's I don't think you can make up for it on the down by running, especially in the Presidents, right? Like the Presidentials are. I'm still unsure how people run on the north side of the Presidentials. Like I'm always amazed when I look at the FKTs and I'm like, how the hell did this happen? But like going up, like you can only do so much, and this is probably also a good time to talk about last time when we saw Riley.
Hut first attempt, we saw Riley, who was working at one of the huts, as you said, and she was like, we got to do the Mad Gulf Trail, which is more gnarly and rugged and a lot of like scrambling. So we never ended up doing, which trail is this?
This is the Osgood Trail.
This is the Osgood Trail. So we did not do what we set out to do, which was Osgood. So we always were left with that feeling of like, did the Mad Gulf kind of like take some souls?
Yes.
For its difficulty level. So this was really fun for you and I just to see the difference of Osgood. And what's your takeaway now that we did Osgood? With you and Steph or on your own?
The Mad, they were both, neither one of them were easy. The Mad Gulf, so the thing about the Mad Gulf, more direct to the hut. You don't have to summit Madison.
Yep.
But what the write-ups have all been were like, it's really difficult to follow. And so we went with, like, the person from the hut crew was there, and I was like, hey, this is a great opportunity to follow somebody that knows, versus essentially following a blazing Appalachian Trail and having no question about where you're going. We're going up the summit, and then we're going to go over the summit, we'll be at the hut.
Yeah.
It's just unrelenting bouldering like this.
Trying to keep up with this guy. The other thing I'm remembering now, and I think you could probably see a little bit of the sweat on your back through your shirt there, but it's reminding me of, yes, we had a beautiful day. It was so humid at the start. I think this day got less and less humid as the day went along. So overall, I'd say, hey, we had a great day. But without a doubt, this start took a lot out of me. I remember the humidity was definitely getting to me, and we were working hard to go up this first climb. And I know for myself, I was like, you're in the lead. And I remember thinking, oh my God, this whole effort is just going to be me trying to cling to like, you're definitely a more experienced, better, faster, stronger hiker than me. So I remember being really nervous going up Madison of just like, oh, this whole thing is going to be like, can I keep up with Sean? Because a huge difference of like when we've done these other things is when there's been 6, 7 of us, it's like, you kind of like, sort of hope you have a decent day and anybody can have a bad day. But with the two of us doing this, I have to say, I remember being nervous of just, oh, you're going to be totally destroying this. It's so gorgeous. What a day of visibility we got here. Making our way up Madison. Awesome day still.
You're riding so high, coming across this of like you know exactly what to expect.
We were a couple hours earlier because we started a little earlier, and maybe we were moving slightly faster than the first attempt. You can see the hut right there. Ish.
Just being able to see the summit and continue, like you pop out and it's like there's a big boost of like, all right, I can see the hut, I can see the summit. The cool thing is like you have footage going back to the left. You know that you have to hike across that entire ridge line, and that's just, it's unreal. Like, look at that.
One of the few that we'll do on this traverse. Madison summit.
There's a sweet view back where we're going.
How cool is this? We come across, it looked like maybe a trio. I don't know if it was just a couple or like, I think it's 2 or 3 people who appeared to be celebrating. And we ask them here, you can probably hear them a little bit despite the wind, but they had just finished their 48, New Hampshire 48, 4,000 footers.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Congratulations, that's awesome.
My first. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, they were stoked. They had a bigger group when we got down to the hut that were, celebrating with some champagne and wine. But I mean, it's a big accomplishment to be able to bang out all 48, and they were super stoked to get that done, which is awesome. And they had it was an awesome day for it, right? Like they're getting pictures of being up on the top of Madison, and
You and Steph, your wife, you guys have done all 48, right?
we've done all 48. And the 48 are cool because it keeps you, for us, we lived off the 93 corridor, so it was really easy to hike the 93 side, and then occasionally you'd make it over to the Conway side, but you'd never really, or I wouldn't venture out further than that because it was kind of a pain in the neck to get to the other trailheads, and I was like, well, all right, well, having this makes it so that we are going to hike something different, which was great. And so, you end up getting through that, and you find out some other trails and summits that you really like, and then you start talking to people that are doing the 48, and they always want to know, like, what should I finish on, or what should I not finish on? Or, like, what do you think
I've
about
asked you those questions myself.
Like,
yeah.
Owl's Head sucks, right? And you're like, well, no, like, I actually really like Owl's Head. Like, I find it enjoyable. Like, if you don't mind stream crossing, it's actually really fun.
Okay.
Either way, we'll get you.
Nice.
Hey, we didn't come this way last time.
Yeah, so we came from the other side of Mad Gulf, yep.
So here we are pulling into the first hut at Madison.
That is going to be the steepest climb for the entire thing. There will be a lot of ups and downs, but that is the largest up.
Yeah. In given like the day got less humid, like the weather's pretty nice. I remember being here thinking just nothing but confidence that like we've got this thing, because at this point we had just done it in June. We knew exactly what the next few huts ahead of us were to get to 302. And like the views are so killer from here all the way to lakes and MIZPAH. It's like you're just above tree line. Like you can see it in our faces. Like we're so happy. And I think it's because you're fresh. It's still early in the day and it's gorgeous. And just like, exactly what to expect. And just no reason not to be confident at this point.
Yeah, we got an amazing day, man.
This part's definitely accomplishable. We just need to get to lakes in a faster clip than we did last time, or on the plan that we want to be on, and we'll feel good about that.
Sounds good, brother.
What did you say? Some of those areas?
Oh, when we got to the hut, my watch said we were averaging 27 when we got to Madison. And considering all that elevation, I'll take it.
Did you think when we were heading to lakes, though, that we were going to have a meal there?
I did. Yeah, that's right. We were just very fortunate, I guess, on the first attempt with our larger group to have lasagna and salad and bread and an amazing meal. So without a doubt, yeah, that felt like we were heading towards dinner.
not sure what the quarter mark is exactly.
That's exactly how it felt. It was like we're leaving Madison, and it was like we're on plan, on pace. Like I know the next stop's gonna have dinner for us because we're doing this awesome thing. And when they didn't, because they were serving dinner when we got there, like it was
the people that are
paid to stay there. And it's like, all right, cool. Like we're gonna move along. But yeah, I mean, like this, like you said, you're riding so high. Come across this of like you know exactly what to expect.
You do. You know this terrain so well in coming towards the cog here, and it was kind of fun too. I have to say, like to me, we were a couple hours earlier because we started a little earlier, and maybe we were moving slightly faster than the first attempt. And you know, I don't know if I show my watch here, like what time of day that is, but if it's 6 hours 45 minutes, I don't know. We're there earlier at the cog in terms of like you can see it on the video. It's much. Even though also it's August, so the sun sets earlier, but we're still, you knew we were kind of moving a little faster, I guess what I'm trying to say is like we had that feeling of like, hey, cool, we're at the cog here and look how bright it is.
All business this time, no clowning around on the cog.
So you mentally felt like we're making good headway here.
So much time.
But let's bring it up because now I'm trying to think like this is probably roughly like, so you end up hurting your ankle, but we don't really know exactly when, right? But I remember you saying it was probably on the way to Lakes. Like you didn't slow down at all, but like talk me through what happened to your ankle.
Yeah, I still am unsure. Like I remember banging my head on the top of the cog railway there, and that may have happened in this. I don't know if that just happened.
You're looking back because you just slammed your head.
And so. Yeah, I mean,
you got concussed. Maybe that's what you forgot.
Maybe that was it. I totally forget what happened and lost the whole thing. But
Thanks to the clouds, baby.
It was really leading into MIZPAH that I felt like, hey, something happened to my ankle, and like thinking back, it was like it must have been going across the cog. Like I must have slammed my ankle or twisted my ankle coming through there, and then smashed my head. I'm still not entirely sure that happened.
So, and let's just make it clear so people are watching this. You really hurt your ankle because like it was not funny, but it was an interesting thing because you didn't have a moment where, you know, usually part of the mystery of this is usually when you hurt your ankle, you roll it, of course, and it's like, oh man, like my ankle, like, you know, you have to have that whole feeling of like wondering just how much damage you did.
Yeah, no.
So you never had that moment. You sent me pictures of your ankle after the whole attempt here. And this thing was so swollen and blown up, like you clearly injured yourself. But it's bizarre that it wasn't an obvious injury. Do you think it could have been just cumulative exertion of the whole event?
It could have been, except it happens. I don't know. It must have been, but it happened so early that it's surprising to me.
I know.
So like talking to, you know, we have like one of our friends, is a doctor, and like she's like, you tore something in your leg, like I described the bruising that I saw, which looked like I had like a terrible tattoo around my ankle, like when I took my sock down after the hike. And she's like, yeah, you definitely tore something. Like that is like, you should probably go get imaging. But at that point, it had been a couple weeks, and I was like, I gotta give it a couple more weeks before I get imaging, and probably not the best decision, but needless to say.
Want to get a shot in front of the sun? Should we leave our poles outside?
Yeah, we can leave our phone outside.
I was able to run a marathon
a month later.
Yeah, 6 weeks later with a week and a half of training, which
because of course you can. You're a beast.
I mean, my long run was 6 miles, so that was it was not a good situation. It was actually a terrible situation. I've never felt so bad finishing something.
That's unbelievable to me that you did that. Yeah, here we are outside of Lakes. We're still crushing. We're happy.
Yes.
We're on pace. Despite not having dinner, it didn't really worry me because Nick had actually brought this up on the first one, but the tailwind packets with your water bottle that's in my front pouch of my vest, swirling that around to get some calories within your liquids, you know, full bladder of water in the back. So you get your water, you get your tailwind, and then just bringing, like, you know, between the two of us, we had, you know, Fig Newtons and power bars, whatever. Just like, I have no regrets about not feeling like we had the adequate amount of calories and liquid.
100%. No, I mean, you're going to be calorie deficient. You are. So that's fine. And I would agree. The tailwind was the huge benefit to having calories coming in liquid wise. And then you have, you know, your Untaps and your Cliff Bar, whatever it might be. Like there was plenty to go around.
We didn't screw that up.
No. mean, at this point, like I know my ankle was hurting, but like
Yeah, you were
mentally,
mentally,
I was still in like a really good spot. Like I remember coming out of the hut and being like, I feel great. Like I feel great.
There were no conversations at all about like, do we have to rethink this? You know what I mean? We're getting down near 302 because if you're going to bail, like 302 is the spot to do it. You remember we were like layering up with our gear and gloves and throwing on the packs and everything. Some guy was getting ready to go to bed. He just had like a couple glasses of wine. He was staying there. He looked over at us and he's like, "You guys going back out there?" And we're like, "Yep." And he's like, "Where are you going?" And we're like, "Lonesome Lake."
SPH, presidential traverse down. Presidential traverse down, Pemi loop to go. 302 at about 10:40 at night. Yeah, baby.
This was a huge lift for us to like cross 302 for the first time, and it's wow. This is where we stopped last time, and we have half of our hike in front of us.
We're doing it. We're moving into big boy land.
We're running it like pretty close to a 22-hour pace, or maybe 23. I think we're an hour and a half ahead of the 24-hour pace at that point. So like mentally we felt great. We were ahead of where we need to be. We were now crossing the street for the first time, which it's going to come up here in a second where we'll look at the sign. But it took us a while to find the trailhead because like we hadn't done this last time, and the A to Z trail is just.
So I'm guessing this way.
I don't know why you'd hike it unless you're doing the AT. Like, there's not really a reason that you'd go that direction.
One would think, maybe. I don't want to lead us down the wrong path here, but...
That was a little bit of a sort of miscalculation, I guess. Or I guess a better way to say it would be that Avalon Trail, I think, is the beginning of, like, to get you to A to Z. There's, like, a little mini section of, like, a mile or something, or 2 miles to get to A to Z. And to find that trailhead for Avalon was actually kind of tough, and particularly tough when it's just super dark.
4.2.
But there was doubt that crept in, are we even on the Avalon Trail? Because to get, like you said, it's a mile from that train station and the road, and it was like, where's the A to Z trail?
We're doing it. We're on the back half, the big boy half. This is it. Let's do it.
As we get into the darkness.
1:22 a.m. Half a mile. You can't really see the moon a little bit. Beautiful. What do we say, buddy? Half a mile to Zealand?
Got it. Zealand, man.
Hut number 5.
Hut 5.
The difficulty of the whole challenge just kind of seeped in, like as like we got further and further into the night. Little things started to add up that it got tougher and tougher,
That section was definitely too where like coming down Carter was like I could feel my leg, and then that section I remember being, wow, like this is not great right now.
You can tell I shot almost no video between Zealand and Galehead, and that's because we were like in the hurt locker in the pain cave, and clearly like going down the Twinway for you, I think like that's where your ankle was definitely clearly hurting, right?
Going from Zealand to Galehead, we were, again, mentally I still felt great. Like my ankle hurt, but like I was able to continue to push that down and push that down and push that down, and like I talked about it, we talked about it, but like the thing that I thought sucked was like I was hoping we were gonna be able to leapfrog each other, and like you'd pull me and I'd be able to pull you, and it was just like I told you, I'm like, Greg, you're gonna have to pull, because I know what would happen is like if I get in front, mentally I will slow down, and there's a chance that you'll slow down and not say I need to pass you, as opposed to just keep kind of blazing along.
Everyone's sleeping.
If you were non-injured, it would have been a whole different thing. And what's interesting about, so here we are heading towards the Lafayette Summit. And at that point, at this point, just to be clear, like you and I knew sub 24 was not going to happen anymore.
Greenleaf, we call it a mission accomplished success.
Yeah, there's Greenleaf, Cannon Mountain. Our cars rest right down there.
I was totally spent. Like to hike Garfield. I mean, so we're going up Lafayette. I don't have any footage because we were just so miserable, I think, like doing Garfield. The final 2 peaks, Garfield and Lafayette, if that's your day hike, that's fine, and you just fly over it. And we saw.
I don't even think that's fine. Going.
I'm glad.
There's a reason you do PEMI the way that you do the PEMI, right? Like Garfield going that way up the waterfall is brutal. Lafayette, it's a bunch of false. It is a lot of up and down. And we had talked about this before the first one. I remember being on the call, and it was like, what's going to be the hardest section? And I was like, after Galehead. Like, because you're already smoked. You're so smoked by the time you get to this point that, like, whatever you have to fire. I think if you got to Galehead and you were on, or even if you got to the top of the top of this to get to Greenleaf, you're feeling great. Like, you're just like, I can roll down this to Greenleaf. And then I'm like, Greenleaf out, it was nothing. So toe down was just a brutal movement for me. It would, like, if you sprain your ankle, usually it's the left or the lateral movement. Like, left right is a problem. For me, this was like,
Oh, interesting.
it was pushing off was a problem, or pushing, like, slowing down and braking was a problem.
You only had like 20 million times where you had to do that on this.
Yeah, it never happened. Didn't happen at all. I can make that happen. We'll see if I get there.
Dramatic.
Very dramatic.
We're closing in on 24 hours as we approach the Greenleaf hut, which was like kind of an amazing feat. Like, certainly felt no sense of like lack of accomplishment when this was all said and done, but still wildly far from doing our goal. Like off by hours.
Hours.
Not like
literally
minutes,
hours.
Off by hours.
I mean, we also made the conscious decision at Galehead, which I think probably took a lot off the fastball.
That's
at
a
that
great
point. Like,
that's a great point.
If we had, we sent a message to our wives like, we're on we were on pace. We're still on pace, but like it's not in the cards today.
That's such a hard thing to quantify. Of this piece of it is what nags in the back of my mind of like, would I ever try this again? Is that exact point you just made of like, if we psychologically still felt like we could do it, how much does that actually move you through Garfield and Lafayette? Those two mountains felt like an eternity to me. Like, seeing people who were doing a Pemi in the opposite direction. You remember when people passed us that were like fresh as daisies and flying? And it was
just
like,
F them. I hate you. Why do my legs not feel like this? Yes. I am confident that takes a lot out of it, because you're just like, well, every step that you'd push yourself, you're just like, I'll make two. And that happens and compounds and compounds and compounds. And
this whole effort of a sub-24 hut-to-hut traverse, which feels like this white whale / Misogi attempt at something that's really, really hard but maybe doable, the passage of time is so nuts. You're trying to do a mile per half hour, which just doesn't seem that hard, right?
Yep.
Yet as they add up, that like block of time, it's so insane, because you start to view like your sense of time is what I'm getting, is just so insane on an attempt like this, because you're measuring the distance between huts is almost like a marathon, right? Like, it's like 3 or 4 hours to get from one hut to another. And it's just like nothing else. So when it goes bad and you're feeling miserable on Garfield, you're like, oh, I only have like 6 hours to go. It's like,
one of the things that I think you brought up too is like, it's the difference between doing a half marathon and a full marathon.
Yeah.
Going across 302 is like, now you've added an additional 30. You are literally doubling up what you've done, and like, no one should ever sneeze at doing a half marathon. But
great accomplishment.
Great accomplishment. Like, doing fast half marathons also like huge. Like, you're like, wow, that's a PR on a half. Like,
but a whole different story from a marathon.
On a marathon, like,
whole different story.
Again, this goes back to what we were talking about for some people, the half marathon, that is the outer periphery. For me, a marathon, that is, if going like, that's a long run, and those last 4 miles can, if you're going like, that can be a big, and this was very similar, where it was like that last,
that's exactly right.
20% was
right.
huge. It was huge. Like, this is not anything to sneeze at.
It's that difference of the Zealand to Galehead to the finish is what separates it from like something that's really hard to something that's like extraordinarily hard.
And that's just where we are physically, right? Like, that is our physical limit, is like, wow, we like 302, getting to 302, huge accomplishment for a lot of people.
Follow you up.
Follow me out.
Follow you up.
Are we there? And it was a huge accomplishment for us, but at the same time, it wasn't like, wow, this is something that I'm gonna put in the pantheon of the heart nets of things that have been accomplished in the family lore. It's like, wow, cool. Like you've done a Presidential Traverse, you've done like several,
Yeah.
you've done several. Like it's not, it wasn't a Presidential Traverse even.
Yeah.
But this is 70% of a Presidential Traverse and 60% of a Pemi Loop or 70. Like it is a lot of the Presidential Traverse and a lot of the Pemi Loop
Yeah.
put on top of each other, and it's brutal.
Our feet were destroyed. You know what I mean? Like, I've never experienced that much foot pain. I don't have a lot of regrets of the footwear I wore, other than there was no protective toe box. I would probably do that differently because I felt like every slight little rock in my front of my shoes met an intense level of pain.
I mean,
that
losing toenails is evidence of that, right?
I lost 2 toenails, so
Yep.
yeah. But the thing I'm most curious to ask you, sitting here in November, before the holidays, Thanksgiving, we've had quite a long time since we did this in August.
Hell yes. Oh my God. Wow.
Dude,
Nice job, man.
great job.
What do we got? 1:20 in the afternoon. That's a lot of hiking.
When we finished it, I had no sense of, regret, wish things could have gone better, could have done this, could have done that. I was like, this is beyond my ability. But the way time has a way of messing with your mind is I've started to think, maybe if I got up and did the second half, maybe do some Pemi Loops again, just like maybe if I'm out in the whites more and I kind of have more long day efforts, maybe I could pull it off.
I still think it's a coin flip. To me, that kind of just continues to put it on like, all right, this is on the outermost limit of what I am capable
That's
of.
exactly
And
right.
Half, more than half, like 2/3.
I wish I knew what happened.
Incredible.
You put that perfectly with it's a coin flip of and even that might be generous. Like in reality, it might be more like 20%.
But it's doable. It's not
impossible.
We were at the second to last hut on pace.
Another piece I wanted to ask you is, should we have gone to Lonesome Lake?
Yes, we could have probably gone the mile and a half, and it wouldn't have been that big a deal, and we could have come
It
down the
wasn't
mile
what
and
we
a
set
half.
it to do, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't what we set out to
Yeah.
do, and what we accomplished was huge anyway. So I have no regrets about not crossing 93 and going up to Lonesome Lake.
Yeah. Leave Lonesome for those who do it sub 24.
Best idea ever. Have somebody drive us an hour and 15 minutes away and hike back.
There's only one option: get back.